Now that we've learned to ground, let's learn to cast a circle. We cast a circle whenever we are going to do work with mysterious realms, do any kind of magic or spell working, whatever it is, or just because we feel like it. A circle is using the energy that the earth and the sky lend us to call in a level of protection and to create a container in which to do the work. It's sort of like closing the door on a room so that you can have privacy and knowing who's coming in and who's not. It's a simple exercise. Things that are important to know about casting a circle. When casting a circle, you want to be able to tap into the earthly energy and not use your own energy, because this helps you stay well and doesn't burn up too much of your qi, as they say in Chinese medicine. This allows you to not burn yourself out, in other words. So now that we've grounded, we draw that energy up from the earth and imagine that it's coming into your hands. And as it comes into your hands, just practice feeling like you're allowing that energy to sort of spill off your hands. So one way to do this is just rubbing your hands together so you can really feel that energy. You rub it together. I'll do that right now. And then you just feel it spill out onto the ground. Just feel what that's like to have energy moving through your body and spilling out into the ground. Another thing you can do is just breathe in while you do this. You know, you ever talked when you pointed your finger at something and you felt that energy go off your hands? That's kind of what we're going to do now. So when you've got that feeling of energy coming off your hands, what I want you to do, and this is just about imagination, notice what sense is the strongest for you. Do you tend to be more scent-oriented, more sound-oriented, more visual, more sensation, more taste? Whichever sense works for you the best, and if it's more than one, that's really good. Use that sense of imagination when you're casting a circle. So we're grounded, we breathe in, we draw that energy up and perhaps also down from the stars. We let it come into our heart, and then whether you're left or right-handed, we let it flow down into that hand. And then we just stick our hand out in the air, pointing in usually the north or the east. But if you don't know where that is, just pick a direction and put your hand out and imagine you're doing a spiral or some kind of point. Some people like to draw a star, 5-pointed star. And you're just drawing in the air. Maybe you're going to do your whole house for fun. So you're drawing in the air and you're imagining a point outside your house. And you're just drawing a little dot or a little star or a little spiral. And you're shooting that energy. And you can just do it with a sound or a breath. You can go, sometimes when I cast a circle, I go, and that helps me. And then keep the energy flying off and imagine a color flying off your finger, or feel it, or a sound or a sight or a smell, like the scent of roses. And you're just drawing that circle in the air in a big arc until you come to the next quarter. So you're doing a quarter arc, and then you're stopping and you're going to look to the east, start in the north, look to the east, stop and make that little dot, that star, that spiral, whatever it is, and mark that. Breathe in again, and then bring your arm around and imagine it goes a quarter of an arc over to the south. And do it again. Keep breathing and keep feeling the energy filling you up. And then draw again. We're going to the west. Point, star, spiral, a dot. Now here's the tricky bit. You want to close the circle. You have to go back to the original point, to the north. Keep drawing all the way back and meet that original mark. Wherever that original mark is, make another mark. Breathe in and draw up to the place above your head and make another mark, because the truth is we're actually casting a sphere. Make a little mark above your head and then draw your arm down in a circular fashion down to below your feet, pointing to below your feet. Make another mark. Breathing in. I like to finish it all off by going back to the original point that I started the whole thing in and make a final mark. Now we say we are between the worlds, and what happens between the worlds affects all the worlds. And what you've done is you created a container of protection for your work. So if you're going to now do some psychic skills, you know who's in and who's out, because you've drawn a circle that allows only you and your friends to be inside of it. And by your friends, I mean your spirit guides and maybe your buddy Phil, who came along for the ride. I don't know. And that's casting a circle. So that's a simple circle for a working that you will do for a couple of hours. After you're done, it's important, and sometimes you'll even feel like, I need to get out of this circle, like I need to be back in regular life. So at that point, you just want to bless the circle, and you can part it like you're parting curtains. Just take your hands and then part it, and then ask that energy you put up to compost to go down into the ground. You can go backwards. So the way we went originally was diasol or sunwise or clockwise. And we start in the north, go to the east, south, west, back to the north. That's sunwise or diasol. If you want to undo it, you could do a thing called widdershins, which is anti-clockwise, I suppose. And you just start in the north, go to the west, draw that curtain, go to the south, draw that curtain, east, back to the north, and allow it to fall into the earth again. And that's what you do when you're doing a temporary working that is for something special you're doing, which you might do like daily or weekly. You also can cast a circle permanently. But there's one thing you do differently with that. When you cast a circle around your house as a way of protecting your house, you want to cast the circle, and then at the end of that casting of the circle, you want to give the circle its own grounding cord. Allow that cord to sink down into the earth and for it to charge or keep the circle up from the power of the earth, from the fire that's in the earth. That's what feeds that cord. That's what allows that circle to stay up. Because if you don't do that, the circle will be relying on you, and again, you'll get drained. So that's what I recommend if you're going to do a permanent circle. And with a circle like that, you want to check in with it once a year at the very least and see if it needs to be renewed. Possibly more often. And I'll have more about this in another class later on. To review, before you cast a circle, you want to make sure you ground, because to cast a circle, we want to use the earth's energy, not our own energy. We start in the north and we go around clockwise to invoke a circle of protection, being sure to stop at each quarter and mark that quarter, and returning all the way to the north. To make a spherical circle, go from that original circle up to the sky above you and down to the ground below you. And that will make a sphere. I like that better. Do your work inside the circle. And then to undo the circle, you can go backwards, anti-clockwise, around the circle, being sure to release the energy of that circle when you're done. And I like to release it into the ground. To have a circle that's permanent, make sure it has a grounding cord of its own so that it's charged by the energy of the earth and not by you. And that's casting a circle.